Duke basketball's new big man on campus is certainly worth talking about. Khaman Maluach garnering lots of praise, and the content the Duke basketball team has been releasing about him is really interesting. It's going to be an awesome season. Let's talk about it here on Locked On Blue Devils.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. So thankful that you're here with us on Friday, September 6th, 2024. Locked On Blue Devils is a daily podcast devoted to everything going on in the life of Duke athletics. We talk everything from football to men's basketball, other sports, and beyond. And today, I want to make sure that we talk about Khaman Maluach and some of the content that Duke's been releasing about him lately, worth discussing ahead of what's going to be a really big freshman year for Duke's latest recruit to join the team for this upcoming college basketball season. We'll also have a conversation about the Duke football game tonight as the Blue Devils have their second game of the season taking on Northwestern. So thanks again for making us a part of your daily routine. A special shout out to all of our everydayers out there. If you're an everydayer down below, let us know in the comments. Hey, I'm an everydayer, and I'd love to give you a shout out in future shows. I know an everydayer out there that deserves a worthy shout out. Our number one listener, that's my dad. It's his birthday today, so do want to wish a happy birthday to my dad. Thanks for everything you do. Love you, Pops. So let's get into it. Kevin Connelly's going to be here from Durham. We're going to talk basketball. We're going to talk a little bit of football. And do make sure that you check out us wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like this video. Share it with your friends. And follow us on X at @LO_Blue Devils. So here he is, Kevin Connelly, joining us on the program today on a Friday. Getting more and more excited about this upcoming Duke season. About a month from now, we'll be seeing Countdown to Craziness. Then we'll have that charity exhibition game that Duke's going to play against Arizona State. We can sense it. Basketball season is getting much closer, Kevin. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well, JJ. Thanks for having me. And yeah, we're just about 2 months away from the regular season tipping off. So with everyone back on campus and the fall semester started, it really does feel like we're going to get this thing underway pretty soon.
All right, so I got to talk about Khaman Maluach. Videos have been released by Duke basketball. We saw some previews throughout the course of the week of him with Derek Lively II at Pro Devils Weekend this past weekend. Mark Williams, another notable kind of young big man in the NBA this season for Duke basketball, back on campus, getting to talk to the current team, a good chance for everybody to socialize. And, oh, yeah, this just so happened to be on the same weekend that the Boozer twins were visiting. Pretty special for all of that to take place. And then last night, we just get the greatest content released in the second episode of the season of Duke Blue Planet that the men's basketball program was able to release on YouTube. And we got to see that one-on-one workout between Khaman and Derek Lively II. John Shire was mic'd up. We'll get to his comments in just a second. But, man, that was awesome to see, and it just got me more excited about Khaman this upcoming season.
Yeah, Duke remains one of the best social media and content teams, not just in college sports, but in all sports. And you knew they were going to deliver big time this weekend. They certainly followed through. And as you mentioned, very coincidental. I guess it wasn't a coincidence, but that this weekend with all the pro Duke guys back on campus with the team and even players from past years, that the Boozer twins just happened to be around. So, yeah, I think everything lined up pretty good. And I think Duke was able to make a big impact on them this past weekend.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than everybody coming back into town and being able to reunite and get to watch a little bit of this year's squad, put some workouts in. There's scrimmage footage and videos that are released. There's a play where Maluach blocks a Cooper Flag kind of three-point shot attempt, and then following a rebound on the same exchange, meets him at the rim and denies another shot there. I mean, I think it's safe to say we're going to get to see some of those things throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, you certainly hope so. And it feels like some of the videos in there were clips we've been waiting for a lot of the summer. We didn't get many of those 5-on-5, 4-on-4 team practice footage. So to have a couple of them sprinkled into this video certainly feels good. And seeing Khaman Maluach out there doing his thing, still a lot to learn for him. But it certainly had to be good just to see this team running 5-on-5. And for the first time, they're finally able to practice with the entire team healthy and available and there. So that's going to be exciting for the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, a little one-on-one work with Derek Lively II and Khaman talking about his young experience in the NBA, his 1 year at Duke, what he was able to do on the defensive end. But it was a lot of moves down in the post, keeping the ball high, being aggressive in every move that you make, changing the pace with when you want to, hit the little baby hook, or kind of our favorite parts is to watch these guys and Derek Lively saying it, use your length, put them in the rim. Speaking of the opponent, and I hope we have some like really big grown man type dunks from what is a 17, 18-year-old kid and Khaman Maluach set to play for Duke this year.
I think you definitely are going to see that. And you also have to remember he's very new still to the sport of basketball. So every day he steps on the court, he's learning. And to get some of these tips from a player like Derek Lively, who just went through his first full NBA season and his team advances to the NBA Finals, I think it's going to go a long way for Khaman and his development throughout this preseason and obviously into the season as well. Because we saw it with Derek, right? I mean, Derek, a little bit different. Yes, he was still raw coming into Duke, but then was sidelined for a lot of the preseason with that injury. And then you really didn't see him start to hit his stride until around January. So I think for Khaman, you're going to see a little bit of a similar trajectory just because he's so new to the sport. He's just going to keep getting better and better every single time he gets out there. And even though it might not show with results, it's going to be a mental game too, where you're getting those mental reps and you're learning with every possession.
You mentioned development with Khaman Maluach. Oh, yeah, in case you forgot, Kevin, let's remind people the resources that Khaman had. How did this guy spend his summer?
Yeah, well, he spent a little bit of it on campus and then competing in the Olympics with Team South Sudan and in their training camp and making a run into the group stage in the Olympic Games. So he's been around pro basketball players a lot this summer, and every second he's been with them has to be beneficial.
All right, John Shire was mic'd up at practice this week as well. We got to see clips of that in last night's Duke Blue Planet episode, and he spoke a lot about Khaman. We'll tell you a little bit about what he had to say after we take this first time out here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. We're back in just a moment. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets that you're not really interested in. It's all in pricing that you can see the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. What I love about the Game Time app is that the seat views you can get, you've got this panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly kind of the type of experience you're going to be walking into. It's the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time's going to credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. What time is it? It's Game Time, a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. We're back. Kevin Connelly's here with us. He's the site expert from Ball Durham. He's on X at Kevin Connelly 24. We're talking about, of course, this game or this season coming up for Duke basketball and the kind of content that they've released as of late, including clips of John Shire being mic'd up over the weekend at Pro Devils Weekend when Duke was able to kind of get a practice in. What did it seem like Coach Shire was really trying to emphasize to the team, Kev?
And to get the ball inside to Khaman Maluach. We talked about him in your first segment, and that was the focus for him, that get the ball inside, just throw it up to him. That was the big thing. There's not many people that are going to be bigger than him on the court. Get it up near the rim, let him go get it. And when you do get the ball inside, even if he doesn't have a shot, people are going to collapse on him and it's going to open the floor. So the big focus in this practice footage was to get the ball inside to Khaman Maluach, and you really can't blame Jon Scheyer for thinking with that strategy.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got that frame, just kind of throw it up. There was a fun moment where Caleb Foster did not do that, and he's, of course, the experienced guard coming back. Foster kind of kicked it out, and Jon Scheyer having fun in kind of a playful manner almost with his point guard, but also being stern and direct. Like, come on, dude. He's big. Throw it up to him. Let him go make a play. And then kind of how fitting is it at the end of their session, so to speak, next point win scenario, it is Duke feeding Khaman down in the post, and he has just an absolute monster dunk to win it for his blue team.
Yeah, and these coaches know what they're doing, right? And they know what this team needs to do to be successful. A couple of plays before that, you saw Khan, and everyone raved about Khan, and he's more than just a shooter. He's a basketball player. He can do it all, and it feels like he's locked in mentally, too, with the mental side of the game. And he just threw it right in to Khaman, and like you said, finished with a big-time dunk. So that was just one other thing that I took away from that little package in there, was Khan being one of the first ones really to throw it in, dump it inside to Khaman, and let him go to work, because we saw all that. We heard everything about how good Khan has been in the offseason workouts, and he's the one that takes the coach's advice and throws it inside and gets the 2 points.
So excited to see those two guys play together, Khan and Khaman, and then everybody else on the Duke squad. Talking more about Khaman in the year that he's set to have this upcoming season. The outside shot is really nice. We saw some nice shots that he was able to make in the Olympic Games, even against the United States when South Sudan went head-to-head. Khaman's able to step out and knock down a couple of shots. But I don't know, seeing this, hearing more people talk about it, maybe kind of temper those expectations a little bit. Spacing, we talk about it all the time, much more clogged in the college game, and then you see certainly in FIBA or the NBA, and that's next level. So maybe we won't see as many kind of outside attempts for Khaman. Wisely so, against fellow college basketball players, the game plan might really just be what Sheyer's preaching, Kevin. Like, get the guy inside, feed him in the post, and any outside shots or three-pointers he's able to make, that's an added luxury.
No, I think it definitely is. And I think expectations, and yes, we're talking about him a lot and we're hyping him a lot really throughout this summer, but I think expectations should be tempered for his overall game as well, not just his outside shooting game. Like I said, he's still learning, especially offensively. I think you do expect him to be a standout defensively and a great rim protector from day one. But offensively, I think there are going to be some growing pains and some learning lessons that he's going to have to take throughout the season. So I would temper those offensive expectations a little bit. But defensively, I think he could be a real game changer from the opening tip of the season.
Why? What are we going to see? And we mentioned a couple of those defensive plays. Why can he be such a game changer?
He's 7'2". I think he's close to a 7'8" wingspan. There's no defensive 3 seconds in college basketball, so that's a big body that could just sit in the middle of the lane and defend the rim. So I think those are a couple of the reasons why he's going to be such a great player defensively. He's versatile. He can move well for a big man. He could switch. Can see him guarding out on the perimeter. So yeah, I think, and obviously we saw in these videos some of the chase down blocks. So the block on Cooper Flagg from a mid-range jumper, and then Cooper Flagg gets the offensive rebound, and Khaman is so big and long, he's able to get a chase down block from behind on a layup, all in the same possession. And then he runs the floor and finishes with a layup down the other end. So yeah, I think those are some of the reasons why we're going to see a really impact defensive player from game one.
All right, later tonight, we've got Duke football set to take on Northwestern. We'll pivot to that in just a moment after we take our final timeout. But last basketball thought for folks out there here today, Kevin. We find ourselves today on the first Friday in September. 1 month from now, when the first Friday in October arrives, we're going to get to watch Countdown to Craziness and Duke basketball kind of unfold for the first time in the 2024-2025 season. What questions are there still that you may have, or what are you most excited to sort of figure out over this next month about the Duke basketball team?
I think the thing you have to be most excited about is going to be the stereotypical answer and seeing Cooper Flagg out there on the court and seeing what he can do. The one thing I am interested to see is I think a lot of people are talking about the depth that this team has.
Yeah.
When you look at like an Isaiah Evans, we talked about Khan, Patton Ngaba, go down Sion James, Malik Brown. Feels like there's a lot of depth out there. But when push comes to shove late in the season, that rotation is in all likelihood is going to be dwindled down to about 8 to 9 guys. So I'm interested to see how the depth actually unfolds and how it looks at the beginning of the season. That's probably the biggest question right now I have for this team.
I'm excited to see it all come together. Again, 1 month from now, we'll see Countdown to Craziness. Duke basketball is almost here. All right, one more break here on the show. A lot more fun straight ahead. Locked On Blue Devils today brought to you by our friends over at LinkedIn. We know how important hiring can be for your small business, and you want to make sure that you can find quality professionals that are right for the role. So we're telling you, you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It's not just a job board. It helps hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively looking for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring, and you should too. Go ahead and post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, we're back. Final few moments here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. My name is JJ Jackson. His name is Kevin Connelly. He's the site expert for Ball Durham. What is Ball Durham, Kevin? What can people find there?
Well, Ball Durham, we got everything you could possibly want on Duke athletics, Duke football, Duke basketball, Duke recruiting, pro Duke players. We got it all over at Ball Durham. So come give us a read every single day at balldurham.com and follow us on social media at ball_Durham.
Excited to see Duke football back in action a little bit later tonight. They debuted last week, on the 2024 season with a 23-point victory over Elon. No longer an FCS opponent. Tonight, they're taking on a Big Ten foe who they've met several times in the last several seasons in Northwestern. What are kind of the big things you're on the lookout for tonight in this matchup, Kev?
I'm looking for improvement really from both teams from week one. Northwestern was not impressive, a 13-6 victory at home over Miami of Ohio. And again, you see a Big Ten program against Miami of Ohio. You think they're going to beat them by a lot, and that was not the case with Northwestern. Not projected to finish very high in the Big Ten this year, very similar to Duke in the ACC. So the odds makers, I think, have this as a pretty even game. I think Northwestern is a slight favorite. For Duke, I think a lot of people were excited to see what the offense was going to look like. Certainly had some struggles in there. Malik Murphy did throw for almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, did have an interception. The running game really didn't get going at all. This team rushed for under 60 yards against Elon. I think a lot people were not expecting that. And you tip your cap to the defense. They went out there, did what they were supposed to do against a quality team like Elon that's not on the same level as Duke, pitching a shutout over the first 3 quarters, and then Elon getting a field goal there in the fourth for the 26-3 win. So I'm looking to see who steps up and improves the most over this second week of game prep that these two teams have.
Yeah, I think the defense is going to be ready to rock and roll. They were electric in the first game of the season, and that unit looks to be in a really good spot, and hopefully that continues a little bit later tonight against Northwestern. To your point, on the offensive side of the ball, we saw the debut of Malik Murphy, and then also talking about the offensive rushing attack for the Duke football team, just 59 rushing yards on the day. But when you look at Jonathan Brewer's offense, as Duke is quickly to caveat, and it is a fair point to make, you just got to find the right way to put the formula pieces together. Malik Murphy was 23 for 23 on passes within the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage, or within 10 yards downfield. And Duke does a lot of kind of the quick pass that statistically will go down as a pass, but they dub some of those screen plays technically within their run builds, Kevin. I think trying to find the perfect way to just hand the ball off and run through the tackles, but then also kind of keep this short passing game attack good to go is an area to improve. And then when we say that, when you look at 26 for 40, Malik Murphy passing, and knowing that 23 for 23 within 10 yards, those downfield shots weren't necessarily as accurate. Those would kind of be the areas for the offense to improve.
No, it definitely is. And if you continue to have that type of success in those short to intermediate passing routes, the defense is eventually going to cheat, and then you're going to be able to get guys free downfield. And when you have those shot plays, you're going to have to convert and deliver the ball on time. So,
and we know the arm strength that Murphy's working with.
Exactly. So you definitely see the pieces are there to have maybe a more successful season than some would have thought. And I think tonight it goes a long way in that, because then after this week, you come home and you play Connecticut, who is not very good. And then you go on the road again for Middle Tennessee State. So I think tonight's a really big pivotal point. And I know it's very early in the season. There's still a ton of football left to be played. But if this Duke team wants to make a bowl game and get to 6 victories, I think this game could really go a long way in determining that.
Yeah, I think this is one that you definitely want to have if you're on that Duke sideline. And an opponent like this, again, to go to UConn next and then MTSU, and then knowing, okay, the only thing we're going to see from that point forward are ACC opponents. You'll want to be able to pick up a win like this against a P4 team in Northwestern out of the Big Ten before you get into conference play, because I think the ACC, we've seen kind of a poor, slow start from Florida State. Clemson, of course, got defeated by Georgia. Those are kind of the two top dogs that you see at the top of this ACC league. But getting into conference play itself, Duke's got an opportunity to kind of write their own story, make a little bit of noise themselves.
Yeah, right. And I guess it's our job to overreact to everything you see in week 0 and week 1. But like Florida State looks horrific. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Virginia Tech losing at Vanderbilt, that was obviously not impressive. NC State did not look impressive at all. I mean, obviously the class of the ACC right now is Miami, with that drubbing of Florida on the road in the swamp. And then even you look at a team like North Carolina losing their starting quarterback in the opening week of the season against Minnesota. So a lot of ACC teams have a lot of questions, probably outside of Miami. So and then Georgia Tech. Is Georgia Tech for real? I mean, you beat Florida State, but I think Florida State losing now at home to Boston College might take a little spark out of that Georgia Tech victory. So like I said, there's a lot of questions in the ACC. It feels like the conference is really wide open right now outside of Miami. Like Miami, I think, is head and shoulders better than everybody in the league. But again, we're through 2 official weeks, week 0 and week 1. And now we're going to really start to see what these teams are made of, because there's no preseason. You can only simulate so much in scrimmages. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here the rest of the way.
All right, as we get out of here today, Kevin, we talked last week going into the weekend about the importance of the Boozer twins being on campus for a visit for the men's basketball program. And you had plenty of coverage over the weekend at Ball Durham in regards to their visit, in regards to the football games, talking about this weekend and what people can expect in the days to come. And as we get into next week, kind of give us a rundown. What all might they find at Ball Durham?
Well, you'll have a lot of coverage on this game against Northwestern, but also we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the film of the Duke Blue Planet episode with Derek Lively and Khaman Maluach and John Shire and so on and so forth. And then also we're going to be keeping tabs on the Boozer twins, because they begin visits this weekend and next weekend to Florida and Miami. Those head coaches were in to Christopher Columbus High School this week after the Boozer twins returned from Durham. So we'll be keeping a close eye on those unofficial visits as well.
All right, Kevin, thanks for the time today. We'll see you again next week, okay?
Thanks, JJ.
That's Kevin Connelly joining us here on today's show. Follow him on X at Kevin Connelly24. I'm there as well at _JJ_Jackson_. That does it for another week here on Locked On Blue Devils. Excited to see Duke football back in action a little bit later tonight. We'll have all the coverage and recaps coming your way next week right here on Locked On Blue Devils, your team every day. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you on Monday. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.